Hi there, I'm Joe Silva. I own Ideal Payroll Service. I also host the Ideal Small Biz podcast. Thanks for being here. The goal of our show here today is to promote local business. This is a time where it's more important than ever is to support our fellow business owners, support those locally owned shops. And so our guest is Robert Kennedy. Robert, you are the Ideal Small Biz of the day. Thanks for being here.
I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Why don't we kind of start with the basic stuff, the intro stuff. Tell us who you are, your company name, and the types of services that you provide.
Well, my name is Robert Kennedy, and my wife and I own Kennedy Fitness. We have two websites, KennedyFitnessOmaha.com and WorkoutWhereYouWork.com. Kennedy Fitness Omaha is dedicated to our one-on-one personal training, which we've been doing for about 16 years here in Omaha now. And Workout Where You Work focuses on our corporate wellness programming that we do with a variety of businesses around Omaha and even over into Iowa.
Nice. So you've expanded just from the personal stuff into some corporate stuff, which is really cool.
Yep.
Why do you guys do what you do, Robert? Tell, you and your wife are in this business and been in it for 16 plus years. Why do you do what you do? Tell us that.
I tell you what, I'll try and do the short version of it. I used to be a mechanic at a Porsche dealership down in Texas. While she was going to UNK, she was going to be pre-med. And I had an epiphany. I had a literal dream one night that my two sisters and I were all standing outside the gates of heaven, waiting our turn in line. St. Peter was there and checking folks in at the security checkpoint, I guess, as it were. And he asked my middle sister, he said, what did you do with your time on earth? And she said, well, I worked with all these orphaned kids in Africa, this, that, and the other. And he reached over and buzzed her in. Gates opened, she went inside, gates closed. My next sister came up and he said, what did you do with your time on earth, Heather? And she said, well, I was a nurse, this, that, and the other. And he buzzed her in. And he asked me, what did you do with your time on earth? I said, I did a lot of stage 3 turbo mods. The guy hesitated. So I woke up and I said, I got to do something better for humanity, something more worthwhile rather than just souping up already fast cars. So rather than fixing engines, I now fix people.
That's awesome. That is as good a reason as any to get up in the morning and to get yourself into heaven for changing humanity. Yeah. Versus not that auto mechanics aren't doing their part, but clearly you had a different
call. Love them. I've got my own Porsche nowadays. I turn wrenches every time it breaks down.
That's awesome. But that really comes through that story.
Conversation. You can have a better conversation with a human being than with an intake manifold.
That's true. There's a little more feedback there, but what you're doing obviously means a lot to you, and that's a great motivator every day is to change lives for the better. Especially during this time, it's interesting with your business because a lot of the health issues out there right now. So maybe dive into that briefly. How has your business evolved during this time of COVID-19? From obviously we know the remote stuff, right? You have to do that, but what about that message you're putting out there locally? To get support. Well, how has that evolved, Robert?
The message has actually stayed pretty consistent, but you kind of touched on it just now. The function of how we go about it has definitely changed. I've resisted online training the last few years as I've seen that get a little more traction. And my biggest reasons for that was, if it's all good and fine, I can do the motivating coaching from a distance, but I always said, if somebody tries a little too much weight, one rep too many times on a bench press, and I'm not physically there to pull it off their throat, that's not the best situation in the world. And also sometimes people are having a bad day. Like right now, there's a lot of stress going on. Everybody's, stressed out and worried about, am I going to have my paycheck? Am I going to lose my house? Whatever it is. And sometimes people just need a hug, and in person, I've always been a big proponent. You can shake their hand, you can give them a hug, whatever they might need beyond the push-ups and the squats. Right now, though, that's not an option. So, I mean, we've been having a few folks here into our private gym that I'm sitting in right now, but most of it has finally gone to online training. And I'm the first to admit, maybe I drug my heels on it a little too long, because it actually works pretty well too, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
there's a balance there, I think. And it's an interesting point. I was talking this morning on this exact point is we're all going to have to evolve through this and pivot some way or another, some more than others. And your training example is a perfect, maybe in the back of your mind, you kind of knew this was the way things are going, but you were resistant a little bit and legit reasons, I'm sure. But sometimes things like this push us to do it, evolve even when we resist it, and that can work out for the better. It doesn't have to be maybe in the future you go a little more virtual with still some of that personalized touch and things, so you can plan around it. But that's kind of cool that the way you guys are adjusting and continuing to serve those people that you need to serve. So
yeah, and I tell you what, I've really liked one of our businesses, because as soon as COVID-19 hit, all of our corporate wellness stuff just immediately hit the pause button. They had bigger things to worry about at their offices and all this than frankly, the employee wellness. But we have since had some of them come back and say, okay, can we do this remotely? So we would normally come in and do in-person group exercise classes. We'd send our yoga instructor, we'd send our Undesk Your Body instructor, whatever it is, our cycling instructor. And so now we're actually pre-recording these yoga classes and these Undesk Your Body classes, and I'm creating just a private YouTube link that I then send to their HR office, and then the HR director can distribute that around everybody at the office, and we let that class exist for a week online. And so instead of just our staff members coming in and doing an in-person class at 2 p.m. on Tuesday, and if you miss it, you missed it. Now they've actually got access to that the whole week, and then we'll come back, virtually the next week with a new class. And I actually think that's working really, really well, because there's more flexibility that whenever someone is free and needs to get up and stretch, we can do that. Yeah. Because we're a click away.
That's awesome. It allows you to serve more people, and that's maybe something that, again, you wouldn't have gone that way immediately, but now realistically you can serve more people because they can catch you at different times, or the person that's in the office out of state or something like that, they can share your message with more people, which is really cool to see. Some positive stuff come out of this negative situation. Overall, Robert, in promoting your business locally and what you guys do, what makes you unique? A lot of people go out there and you see different trainers online, or you go into a gym and there's different trainers. What makes you unique at Kennedy Fitness?
Well, there are a lot of gyms and there are a lot of trainers. My wife and I started at a big box gym here in town back in 2004. We did that for a few years. We realized where, not to speak ill of them, but this is why I'm leaving their name out of it. Their customers were member numbers. They management, they're never asked about people by name. They didn't ask about their goals and the progress toward their goals. They asked about sales quotas. What do you have coming in for closeout? This, that, and the other. And we finally said, you know what, we can do better. We actually interact with these people on a daily basis. We actually care about them, and we're gonna go a different route. So we took that different approach, and once we had too much business to be able to handle just the two of us, we started hiring on additional trainers. 13 years later, now we've got a wide variety of trainers, each with their different specialties. And I love to watch them train all the other trainers, because not one of us trains the same. I've got my ways, how I kind of like to do it. And then we've got like Vicky, she's a 3-time Ironman triathlete. She trains totally different than I do. We got Steph. She's so descriptive with her words and how to cue clients to engage different muscles and all this, that frankly is so much better than how I do it. Brady, he's a physique competitor, and Troy, he's our newest guy on staff, and they're all just wonderful. They've all got their strengths, and I think at this point we have enough trainers on staff with enough variety in their personalities and their backgrounds, their expertise, that no matter who comes in our door looking to improve something about themselves, we've got the right match for them.
That's awesome. You hit on so many things that define local business and why, your story rings true with myself. I used to be in corporate, started my own deal, exactly what you were talking about, treating people as a person, open communication, personalized service, and so many entrepreneurs that start a local business. That's the same reason. And that's even more reason why we need to support each other through this and help each other out. And that's an awesome way that you guys are helping. If somebody wants to learn more, so if they're listening or they're watching this and they want to learn more, reach out to you, Robert, at Kennedy Fitness. What's the best way to reach out to you?
My email would probably be the easiest, Robert at KennedyFitnessOmaha.com. Otherwise, my phone number is 402-871-7935. You can give me a text or a phone call too. That's fine.
Awesome. So reach out to Robert. Let's help him and support his business. And the other thing you mentioned was, relying on your team. That's so critical in small business, where you put the right people in the right place. And it doesn't have to be, you as the owner or me as the owner or whoever it is. You get a team. And like you said, anybody that walks in the door, you can service them different ways because they are people. And that's so defining as a small business and a local business for all of us to learn from. So, Robert, thank you for sharing your story and your insight. Congrats on being the ideal small biz of the day. Any final words as we wrap up?
Yeah, I wanted to thank you. You're over there saying that you understand where I'm coming from and that you run your business similarly. And I know for a fact that you really do. Similar to how we used to be at a big box gym before we met you, Joe, we were with a different, larger payroll processor that was not based here in town. And we didn't like them and we left and we found you. And I think we're going to be with you for years to come, because let's just say they wouldn't have been doing this. They wouldn't have been interviewing me here. This means a lot that you're trying to get out there and do what you can to help your customers and the other businesses around town. So it's not been lost on us, and we appreciate it. Thank you very much. Well,
you're quite welcome, Robert. Happy to help. That's why we're here. That's our mission. Our mission is local business success. That's our mission statement. And, that means us, that means you, that means everybody that we interact with. So thank you for that feedback. Happy to do it. And yeah, bottom line is, anybody listening, anybody watching, let's support each other. Let's get through this. And even after, it's so important, even after this pandemic is, local business. It's always been on our mind and your mind, Robert, as a local business, but sometimes it gets lost out there where, the chains and the big box stuff happens. So let's just make an effort, all of us, to support local and continue that going forward. So appreciate your time, Robert. Everybody listening, again, stay strong through this and support local.